Football Forever stated Falcons executive Matt Ryan is a non-committable Michael Penix Jr. person, being the starting quarterback next season as he recovers from knee surgery, making Browns quarterback Dillon Gabriel a potential trade target for Kevin Stefanski. Now, this isn't just coming out to be coming out, bruh. Stefanski was strongly in favor of drafting Gabriel in the third round of the 2025 NFL draft and could reunite with him in Atlanta if the opportunity presents itself.
Shedeur is way better than Dillon Gabriel. He just is. If Shedeur had started from the start, game one against Cincinnati at home, they would be the talk of the NFL right now because I look at the fourth quarter yesterday. They go 0 for 4 on third down because Dillon was playing not to lose. Don't throw it to them. Don't put it on the ground. And he did a great job of that. But on one of those third downs, you have to try to make a play to win the football game. And trust me, no matter what Stefanski called, Shedeur would try to win the football game because it's how he was raised. You're going to make a play.
So YouTube family, we know that Coach Kevin Stefanski was going to get rewarded regardless. If Coach Kevin Stefanski's name was Coach Kevin Jackson, he would have been fired by game number 5. But for some miraculous reason, he survived 6 seasons in Cleveland with only 2 winning seasons and 4 of the most horrible seasons in NFL history. So he was rewarded after sabotaging Shedeur. And that's not why I'm here for. There's another atmosphere in the room right now, and his name is Dillon Gabriel.
Football Forever stated Falcons executive Matt Ryan is a non-committal Michael Penix Jr. person being the starting quarterback next season. Let me break down why Dillon Gabriel's days in Cleveland are numbered, why Kevin Stefanski is going to reunite with him in Atlanta, and why this is the best thing that could happen for Shedeur Sanders. So, don't skip a single second of this video, and if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. This moment right here, it isn't random. It didn't just fall out of the sky. And if you've been paying attention, really paying attention, you felt this coming weeks ago, maybe even months ago. Because in the NFL, moments like this don't just happen. They build, they simmer. They sit under the surface until one report, one quote, one leak finally cracks the whole thing open. This isn't noise. This isn't accidental. This is calculated. When something like this hits the timeline, fans always get told to calm down. It's just speculation. It's just talk. But that's not how this league works. Front offices don't let stories breathe unless they're ready for the reaction. Coaches don't dance around answers unless there's something they don't want to say out loud yet. And organizations don't suddenly change tone unless they've already had the hard conversations behind closed doors. That's why this matters right now. Because what we're watching isn't just a headline, it's a pressure point, a fork in the road. One direction says commit, build, and move forward with conviction. The other says stall, hedge, and let uncertainty rot the locker room from the inside out. And fans? Fans can feel the difference immediately. You don't need access to the building to know when a situation is unstable. You see it in how decisions get delayed. You hear it in how language changes. You feel it in how confidence disappears from the plan. We've seen this before, every time. The league loves to pretend these moments come down to one play, one drive, one mistake. But that's never the truth. This stuff is about alignment or the lack of it. About whether the people making the decisions actually believe in the direction they're pointing everyone else toward. And here's the thing that should make everyone lean in a little closer. Leaks don't come from nowhere. Teams don't accidentally let interests slip. They don't accidentally float names. When information like this gets out, it's because someone wants the temperature checked. Someone wants to see how fans react, how the locker room responds, how the media frames it. That's not panic. That's positioning. And if you're a fan, this is the moment you stop scrolling past and start paying attention. Not next month, not after camp, not once the depth chart is printed. Because by then, the direction is already chosen. By then, the consequences are locked in. This is the kind of moment that decides careers without announcing it. The kind that determines whether a franchise finally commits to a future or keeps running in place pretending patience is a plan. And the wild part? The signs have been there. The mixed messaging, the half commitments, the we'll see, answers instead of confidence. So no, this isn't about one play. It's not about one game. It's not even about one quarterback. This is about the future. Right now, this is where the truth lives. Not in press conferences, not in analyst segments, not in what the team says, but in what they do. Because when you really look at where he stands today, strip away the hype and the talking points, the picture gets a lot clearer and a lot more uncomfortable. They'll tell you it's a competition. They always do. They'll say everybody's getting reps, everybody's being evaluated, everybody has a chance. But watch the depth chart. Watch the snaps. Watch who gets protected when things go wrong and who gets put under the microscope. They say competition, but they don't coach it like competition. Not even close. Because opportunity and trust are not the same thing in the NFL. You can give a guy reps without believing in him. You can start someone without committing to them. And that's the space we're in right now, that weird in-between where the team wants the upside but isn't ready to hand over the keys. Fans feel that tension immediately. Analysts talk around it. Fans live in it. If he was truly the guy, we wouldn't be here. If the belief was solid, there wouldn't be hedging. If the vision was clear, the messaging would be clean. But it's not. Look at how short the leash has been. One missed read, one late throw, one ugly series, suddenly the tone shifts. Meanwhile, other guys get weeks, sometimes seasons, of grace. We've seen this movie before. Think Jalen Hurts early in Philly. Think Tua before McDaniel arrived. The difference is always the same. When a staff believes, mistakes are treated like growing pains. When they don't, mistakes become evidence. And that's what fans are reacting to. Not just the stats, although those matter, but the way the staff responds to those stats. Completion percentage gets framed differently. Turnovers get contextualized differently. Wins get credited differently. Losses get pinned differently, and once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Because here's the uncomfortable part. The media narrative doesn't match the internal behavior. On TV, it's he's developing. Behind the scenes, it's contingency plans. On paper, it's patience. In practice, it's insurance. And franchises don't buy insurance unless they're nervous about what they're protecting. Fans see that. Fans always do. You don't need insider access to know when a quarterback is being evaluated versus when he's being backed. You can hear it in the coach's voice. You can see it in play calling. You can feel it in how quickly the blame shifts after a loss. That's not random. That's hierarchy. And the scary part? This is the stage where careers quietly change direction. Not with a benching, not with a trade, but with doubt, with hesitation, with the slow erosion of trust that never gets announced but always gets felt. Because once you reach this point where opportunity exists without belief, that's where the doubts start creeping in. This is the part of the story where things get uncomfortable because this is where the pressure starts doing real damage. Not on the stat sheet, not in the box score, but in the space between confidence and doubt. And if you've been watching the NFL long enough, you already know how this goes. We've seen this before. It starts with the whispers. The tone changes. Suddenly, every throw gets slow-moed. Every miss becomes a headline. Every mistake gets replayed like evidence in a trial. One mistake, magnified. One success, minimized. That's the formula. And once it starts, it's hard to shut off because the standard isn't the same for everyone. It never is. One quarterback throws an interception, and it's learning through adversity. Another does the same thing, and it's concerning. One guy misses a read, and it's blamed on protection. Another misses it, and suddenly his processing is questioned. That's not analysis, that's framing, and framing shapes careers. You can feel it in the way games are called. Conservative here, safe there, reads, simplified, options taken away to protect him. But what that really does is shrink the field, shrink the confidence, shrink the room for growth. Coaches will never say they're limiting a quarterback, but fans can see it. When the playbook tightens, it's not always about protection. Sometimes it's about trust. And that's the quiet part nobody wants to talk about. Because confidence in this league is fragile. You don't lose it all at once. It gets chipped away. One sideline look, one delayed call, One moment where a quarterback looks to the bench and doesn't get reassurance, just a headset going silent. That stuff adds up. And the scary part, it doesn't show up in stats until it's too late. The media loves to call it mental. Fans know it's environment. We've watched quarterbacks survive worse numbers in better situations. We've watched guys with less arm talent, less upside, get years of patience simply because the organization decided early, this is our guy. When that decision is missing, every rep becomes a test instead of a building block. Every game feels like an audition. And no one plays free like that. So when people ask why the body language looks different, why the confidence feels uneven, why the growth isn't linear, this is why. Because development doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens when belief is louder than doubt. And right now, doubt has a microphone. But here's where the story flips, because pressure doesn't break everyone. Some players get sharper under it. Some stop listening to the noise and start trusting their preparation. Some turn skepticism into fuel. This is the crossroads moment. The part where you find out if the weight crushes you or forges you into something dangerous. And that's where this story is headed next. This is where the energy shifts, because this is the part people miss when they're locked into arguments and noise. While everyone's debating, something real is changing underneath it all. Quietly, deliberately. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. This is what belief looks like. You can feel it in the way the building moves now. New voices, new ideas, a different rhythm to how things are taught, how mistakes are corrected, how success is reinforced. The old regime felt cautious, reactive, like everything was about avoiding failure instead of chasing growth. This new direction, it's about intention, about accountability, about actually building something instead of babysitting it. And that matters more than any stat line, because real quarterback development doesn't come from open competitions that never end. It comes from commitment, from a staff deciding this is our guy and then aligning everything around that truth. Play design, practice reps, film sessions, even how criticism is delivered. That's how quarterbacks are built. Not by surviving week to week, but by being empowered to push limits without fear. You can see the contrast already. The old approach shrank the game. The new one expands it. More responsibility, more trust, more clarity. Instead of simplifying reads to protect confidence, they're teaching how to command the offense. Instead of yanking opportunities after a mistake, they're coaching through them. That's not softness, that's investment. This is what belief looks like. New personnel fits the vision. Coaches who specialize in development, not damage control. Systems that reward decisiveness instead of punishing aggression. Accountability that goes both ways. Players are held to a standard, but so is the staff. And when that happens, confidence doesn't have to be forced. It grows naturally. We've seen this before. Think about what happened when the Eagles fully committed to Jalen Hurts. Or when Miami finally stopped hedging with Tua and built an offense that trusted his strengths. Same players, same league, completely different outcomes. The difference wasn't talent, it was alignment. And that alignment is finally showing up here. You can feel the confidence creeping back in. Not loud, not reckless, but steady, purposeful. The kind that shows up in footwork, in timing, in how a quarterback carries himself between plays. The kind that tells you he's not just reacting anymore, he's leading. This doesn't mean the doubts vanish overnight. This league never gives you that. But it does mean the foundation is finally solid. It means mistakes become lessons instead of labels. It means growth has room to breathe. And for the first time in a while, the environment isn't working against the potential, it's feeding it. This is how quarterbacks are built. And now that the direction is clear, now imagine this with full support. This is the moment fans remember later, not because it was loud, but because it was decisive. This is the part of the story where everything could finally swing one way or the other. And as someone who's watched this team long enough, I'm telling you right now, this feels different. Not perfect, not guaranteed, but different. I'm not here to promise rings or rewrite history before it happens. That's not how this league works. But I am here to say this. Moments like this don't come around often. When a franchise reaches a point where the noise clears, the direction sharpens, and the excuses disappear, that's a window. And windows in the NFL don't stay open long. This is the window. This is the chance. Because if this is handled right, if the commitment stays firm, if the development stays intentional, if the belief doesn't waver the first time adversity shows up, this could be the moment everything pivots. Not just for a quarterback, but for the entire identity of the team. You don't need a miracle. You need alignment. You need patience with purpose. And you need fans who understand that growth isn't always pretty in real time. I'm talking to the fans who've been tired of waiting, the ones who've watched talent come and go without direction, the ones who've heard next year too many times. This isn't about blind optimism. It's about recognizing when the pieces finally make sense. When the coaching matches the vision. When the opportunity matches the trust. When a player finally gets the environment he's been fighting for. We've seen how fast things can flip in this league. One year you're questioning everything. The next year, you're wondering how you ever doubted it. Think about how quickly narratives change for guys who were once written off because someone finally stopped hedging and went all in. That's how belief compounds. That's how confidence spreads through a locker room. And yeah, there will be pressure. There always is. Expectations don't disappear, they get heavier. But pressure is a privilege when you're ready for it. Pressure means the league is watching. Pressure means it's real now. And that's exactly where this team is standing. So here's my prediction. And it's not wild, it's earned. If this organization stays the course, if it protects the process instead of panicking at the first setback, we're going to look back at this stretch and realize it was the turning point. The moment the future stopped being theoretical and started being built, this is the window. This is the chance. And I'll say this to every fan watching. Stay locked in. Stay loud. Stay patient. Because if this thing hits the way it should, when people look back, they'll realize this is where it started.